Yes, indeed. Welcome, everybody, to the 10th in a series of 12 presentations in celebration of the Council for Exceptional Children's 100th anniversary. This evening, we welcome Dr. Deborah LeBlanc, and who will speak to us on leading with kindness. My name is Paula Crowley, and I am the president of Illinois Council for Exceptional Children. And it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. LeBlanc this evening. Our speaker, Dr. Debbie LeBlanc, earned her master's and doctorate degrees at Northern Illinois University in DeKalb, Illinois. The primary focus of her studies was curriculum and leadership practices. She has devoted her career to students with special needs, first as a teacher, then as an administrator. She has been a principal in an elementary and middle school district for 25 years. At the same time, she was the special education coordinator. Currently, she serves as the director of student services in a suburban Chicago school district. She was the chair of the teacher leadership and principal preparation program at Aurora University. She has been recognized for her leadership by the DuPage and the Illinois Principal Associations with awards for Elementary Principal of the Year, Illinois State Board of Education's Those Who Excel Award, the Award of Excellence, and the Herman Graves Award, the highest award given to an Illinois principal. She is equally passionate about developing teachers. She is a member of Delta Kappa Gamma, which is an international society of key women educators, currently serving as the Northeast Region Director. She is a nominee for the international president of this organization. Dr. LeBlanc is also a co-chair of the Teach to Lead Summit, where the mission is to build a sustainable culture for teacher leadership in Illinois. The primary goal of this organization is to increase the success of all students through teacher leadership in instruction, professional collaboration, policy, and advocacy. She has published multiple articles in about Teach to Lead, and wants to develop awareness, and will welcome anybody who would like to participate in Teach to Lead Summit March 2023 in Normal, Illinois. We welcome Dr. Deborah LeBlanc very, very happily tonight, and I will now share my screen. Okay, now, and Debbie, dear, if you'd like to start, are you ready to go, Debbie? Or
I am. Everybody froze. Can you make me the host so I can share my screen?
Okay, so
right, you need to allow her to share her screen.
Okay, I see. So I go back here, share the screen, and yes, I think there I go here. Sorry, thank you so much. Now, Debbie, can you?
Sure. And thank you for that very kind introduction. And I'll be honest, towards the end, you kind of froze. So if I repeat myself, I will just say thank you for that introduction. Last night, Paula and I had a wonderful conversation about the Council for Exceptional Children, and this presentation tonight. I am also married. I live in Baton Rouge now, and I have 5 children and 10 grandchildren, one of whom is differently abled, and allows all of us to remember what we're actually here for. That's to bring joy and kindness to one another's lives. And I'm going to be giving my presentation. And if you have any comments or questions, if you'd like to put those in the chat, Bev, I think you're really good at monitoring the chat. So if you feel free to do that, feel free to interrupt me. And then at the end, we can have any questions and answers. And I hope that you enjoy this conversation. It is something that brings much joy to my heart. So I'm going to try to share my screen and see if I can get all these Zoom things off. And I don't want to leave the meeting, but I am going to start with this. And here we go. And I'm going to minimize all this. So Bev, I'm going to count on you to interrupt me because I won't be able to see you.
Okay.
Okay. So this presentation is Leadership with Kindness, and what an honor to be a part of this series. And after Paula and I talked last night, I went into further deepening my understanding of Elizabeth Farrell and all that she has done to bring to our world of understanding children with special needs. I'd like to begin this conversation about leadership and actually how it's defined. Everybody has an opinion on what constitutes leadership, and there have been countless numbers of articles, books, seminars, and conferences devoted to this topic of what each presenter believes to be the foundations of what constitutes leadership. In all honesty, some of these ideas have been so profound and repeated over and over, and some not even worth the paper they're written on. John Quincy Adams said, "If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are a leader." In my interpretation of that, I believe that we grow leaders by our actions, inspirations, and encouragement. Dwight D. Eisenhower said, "Leadership is the art of getting someone else to do something you want done because she wants to do it." This is a favorite of mine. Let me tell you a little story. When I was a principal, and this was back in the day when you would get your ed leadership and your ASC journals and things like that in the mail, and I would devote an evening or so every other week to reading these articles. And when I found one that was especially of interest to me, I thought, gosh, that's a kind of a situation we're talking about at school. So I might share that article with several members of the staff, asking them to kind of think about this and see if we could apply this to our own context in our school. Well, it didn't take long for these teachers to realize, gosh, this could be something we could do. Could we delve into this a little bit deeper, possibly do some research, get some professional development, think about having this happen at our school? What happened was they started to become more aggressive in a good way about making change in our school. And they quickly took over the ownership, which meant I could just step aside and watch them make the idea come to fruition. Susan Leahy, who is the group to team CEO and worldwide keynote speaker, describes leadership as the ability to hold the space so something new can come into existence, and that real leadership is fostering the context of team. My interpretation of that is, I believe in surrounding myself with excellence so that ideas brought to the table are fresh, new, and bring different attitudes to all of us. This way, I don't need to know everything. I surround myself with a team who can have those ideas. Liz Bohannon, she has been a speaker at the Global Leadership Summit. And if you have never been a part of that summit, it is an online experience that typically happens several days in August. They bring leaders from around the world that impact people in so many different situations. It's well worth your while to check it out. But her idea is the role of leaders is not to be the hero of anyone's story, but rather to do the hard work in ourselves so that we can inspire and equip others to be the hero of theirs. This is a common theme here of inspiration, encouragement, and growth. Leadership is an art. It involves some level of persuasion, which may cause someone to act in a desired manner. It also incorporates inspiration, hope, and kindness, which compels or motivates another person to act. Motivating people in the right way is a successful task of good leaders. Anything worthwhile that we take on takes energy and effort, and the blessings received far outweigh the giving it takes. I'd like for you to take about 10 seconds and maybe reflect on a worthwhile endeavor that you began are experienced, are participated in, that did not require effort. So what does it take to be a great leader? In my research of leadership, and you heard before that has been a passion of mine for a very, very long time. I believe in cultivating leaders and growing leaders. And I've discovered common themes which have strongly influenced my work. And I hope that you will also think about your own actions and thoughts as it relates to your leadership. Says it all. Yourself. Smart. Ready to work. Only one, not what every day of us, ready for possibly a, and that person.
Lost.
Whoops.
Wow, we have lost Deborah.
I thought maybe it was my connection, but
No.
everybody was having,
Right, and we've lost Deborah, Beverly.
okay.
It happens. It happens.
It does happen. It does happen to all of us. She'll be back.
Yeah.
I think if we turn off our cameras
Video.
and microphones,
It does help, yes.
yeah, that does
Good
reduce
idea,
the
Michael.
amount of bandwidth.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to do that.
Oh, okay, Connie, it down in the lower left-hand corner,
Says
you
mute.
have a mute button and you have a video.
Uh-huh.
And if you just stop your video, you just click on it, it should stop it. And Debbie's back, good.
Sorry about that. Where did I lose you?
Um,
On the authentic?
yeah, so you want to share your screen again? There we go. We said that happens to everybody, so.
My screen? Okay.
The last thing I
Yes, and you know
have,
what?
Right there, right there.
yeah, and you know, the blessings outweigh the giving it takes. That's where,
Okay. Okay, got it. Okay, so then I asked you to think about for a moment a worthwhile endeavor that you have been involved in that didn't require effort. And then I'd like to ask you, you know, what does it take to what does it take to make a great leader? And I've discovered common themes which have really influenced my work. And I'm hoping that you will also think about your own actions and thoughts as it relates to your leadership ability. This slide really says it all. It talks about being authentic, being yourself, not being a phony. People can see through that all the time. Faking it impacts your integrity and credibility with others. I'm saying believe what you say and live what you say, and show up every day ready to work. And you only have one chance to make a first impression. It's not what you say, but how you say it. I'm about ready to retire for the second time next month. And I'm hearing people say to me, aren't you really glad that you're almost finished with this? You must be so happy you're almost out the door. And that's not true at all. I told them I will be tried and true all the way to the very last day and probably then some. I want to be responsible for putting things in good position for the next individual who takes my place. So the whole idea of being authentic and being real is just that. Don't be a fake, don't be a phony, say what you think, do what you think, and be for real. Now I'm going to try to, okay. Be passionate. All of my friends on this screen know that I am a huge fan of Simon Sinek. He says that working hard for something you don't care about is called stress. And working hard for something we love is called passion. What is your passion? What brings you joy? For me, it is my family. It is advocacy for children with special needs, their families, and their teachers. It is also Delta Kappa Gamma, which you heard in the introduction, is an international organization of key women educators. I didn't find my passion. Rather, I met it through involvement in these very causes, which deepen my beliefs, my practices, my responsibilities. I feel responsible for all of these things that I have passion for. And I work very, very hard to cultivate that passion, share that passion with others, and help them understand what my priorities are. All of these initiatives, all of these passions bring tremendous joy to my heart. And I work hard on them to continue that joy. I am trying to concentrate on what I'm doing well so that I can do it better than anybody else. Lead by example. Well, this means you walk the walk and you talk the talk. Be open and honest about your joys and your passions, but also be knowledgeable. If I'm going to be open and honest and joyful about my passion, I better be ready to talk about it. So hopefully, through my example, others will develop trust, respect, and loyalty to that organization, whatever that organization might be it my family, be it my church, be it my school, be it Delta Kappa Gamma, be it CEC. Just watch what others do and try to do the same, and inspire others by your words and actions. I would never ask anyone to do something that I wouldn't do myself. As a principal, I had a preschool program in my school. You know what that means? You're wiping lots of noses. You're sometimes changing diapers. You're zipping up coats. I also had middle school kids in my school, which meant sometimes I needed to talk with them about personal hygiene. I sometimes needed to talk with them about health habits. I wouldn't ask a teacher to do something that I was not willing to do. Establish powerful and meaningful relationships. These have changed my life forever and for good. Relationships are supposed to bring joy to your heart and soul. Relationships should enrich our lives, cheerlead us on, pick us up when we are down. They also must be real, and they must be truthful, and they must be honest, which means sometimes we might hear things that we not necessarily want to hear, but we need to take those into consideration and remember the person who's delivering the message. It might be painful, but it might also be the hardest thing that person has had to do. My closest friends, obviously, are whom I trust, I revere, and I aspire to emulate. Be more concerned about making others feel good than making yourself feel good. Cultivating and maintaining these relationships is work, as is anything that I said before, but it must mean something to us. I also say, reflect on these relationships over time. Sometimes relationships can become toxic, and we really need to think about the level of engagement that we are currently, having with that particular relationship. And maybe we need to rethink it, reactivate it, recharge it. And sometimes we need to release it and not have that be a part of our lives. Think about excellent communication skills. Hone your ideas in such a way that in a few sentences, you can clearly articulate what really matters to you. Share knowledge and ideas to transmit a sense of urgency and enthusiasm to others. Some of us have talked about elevator speeches. The scenario is as follows. You meet someone or someones, and in 3 minutes or less, you have to tell them about you. What do you want to be sure you include? What are you passionate about? What is a mission of yours? What is something you would like to see changed in the world? In other words, what matters? Many times, individuals on this screen have been asked to write an introduction of themselves. What is it you want to say, and how will you say it that makes the most powerful impact? As a leader, I'm asking you to embrace your fears. I have several fears. I am terrified of dogs. Number one, doesn't matter how small, how large, I am so fearful of dogs. I was snapped at once as a little girl. To this day, I'm terrorized. I know they can smell my fear coming a mile away, but I'm working on it. I'm working on being brave and walking past that yard with the 10-foot fence with that little dog behind it and not being traumatized. I'm also extremely afraid of escalators going down. I'm afraid I'm going to fall and break my teeth and hurt my face. So now what I'm trying to do is every other trip that I take, I almost said vacation, trip, one time it's the elevator, the next time it's the escalator. I have got to get over these fears. Another fear that I had for a while was speaking in front of large audiences. Now, in my school, there were over 480 children. I had no problem with a daily morning assembly with those children to welcome them to school. We shared ideas, we had laughter, they brought me joy. But think about talking to their parents about curriculum, or maybe giving a presentation to the Board of Education. That could almost stop me in my tracks. And oftentimes there isn't a teacher I haven't spoken to who hasn't said, give me a classroom of kids all day, but talk to their parents. I am really, really nervous. What I had to do to embrace that fear is I had to realize, frankly, I know more than they know. And so this way I have an opportunity to share my ideas, listen to their responses, have an active, interactive conversation. And eventually I overcame that fear. I've also embraced my fear by giving workshops such as this, speaking in front of audiences, where I have done as different roles in my job as a professor in the university, as a leader in DKG, as a leader in Illinois Principals Association. I've had to overcome those fears and be able to step out of that box and embrace my fears. I've practiced to calm my nervous stomach, to improve my levels of communication, which leads me to this. Leaders are confident, but not arrogant. And even though we're confident, we're still afraid. And try not to let anyone see that fear, but also allow them to realize you're human. I'm not saying just stand up there and be the big kahuna that is like, I'm not afraid of anything. This is calm, cool, collected, because people will say, are you nervous? Of course I'm nervous. If I wasn't nervous, that would be a bigger problem. Recognize the contributions of everyone on your team, understanding that there is no I in team. Try to keep learning, growing, and improving. Encourage others to do the same. Strive to accomplish more than expected. Share that same message with the people in your team, on your team, and around your team. Share that message with your colleagues, the students in your class, no matter what level you're teaching, family members. Leadership has influences, and everyone has influences. Positive, negative, everyone has an influence. We all have influences in our work, our community, our church, certainly our family and our friends, and within any organization that you belong to. Leadership is not necessarily the number of years that you have spent in a profession. Goodness knows, we know there are people who should have left our profession many, many years ago. That's not necessarily leadership. That's just longevity. Leadership is about the positivity that you bring to the table with initiatives, energy, forward thinking, considering other ideas, stepping away from the old saying that we used to say, been there, done that, we've done this before, this is just a different name. That's the type of leadership we're looking for. And leadership is not simply about leaders. The imagination of followers is also relevant. Followers need to interpret events, gestures, speeches, texts, and so on to mean something similar to what the leader implies. So with that, The Gallup poll has suggested there are 4 distinct needs of followers. I'd like to talk about those for a few moments. Trust, stability, compassion, and hope. Think about those 4 things as I have this conversation with you in the next couple of minutes. All of these are equally as important. I know, however, to me, trust is the deal breaker. And I said that before, people have got to trust you in your role of leadership, that you are taking them and encouraging them to go to a place that might be new to them, but they can trust you because your word and your actions mean something. Set the tone for all you do by your actions and words is what we call trust. Be silent to listen. Good leaders listen much, much more than they talk, and they are asked more than they tell. Assess the tone of your workplace. Assess the tone of your organization. Is there a top-down or a collegial decision-making model in place? Are there cliques tolerated? Do not tolerate unkind words and behaviors which might cause hurt feelings and behaviors which lead to mistrust, inattention to the task at hand, and this sidebar conversation that can interfere with the goals that we're trying to accomplish. Remember this, silence implies consent. If you see something, say something. Again, silence implies consent. Support others with your attention, your courtesy, and your kindness. Recent events in our world have caused negativity, which I believe has truly harmed many. Could we please adopt the premise of the golden rule? If you don't have anything nice to say, simply be quiet. Don't add to the chatter. Be a part of the conversation in a positive, sharing, forward-thinking manner. This doesn't mean that there shouldn't be appropriate criticism and critique, but rather when presenting it in a collegial and positive manner to enhance performance, you're not stifling it. You're simply sharing an idea that is not a condemnation of the person who may have spoken previously, but rather a reflection of how you think we can continue to grow, continue to have this conversation in a positive way to move forward. The last thing we want to do is shut someone down and have them feeling, why talk? My voice isn't heard. And how many times have we heard that? I stopped talking because no one was listening. The next one is stability. The past 2 years have brought this world to its knees and turned it upside down. School communities have been hit hard by the effects of the pandemic. So many students, their families, and teachers have returned to a completely different set of rules, where at times it has felt like there is less engagement and connection and more loss of learning. The pandemic has highlighted numerous inequalities in our education system and access for all students, which allows others to be critical of just about everything we're doing. And in my opinion, some of those who have been so critical are the ones who have forgotten who gave them that voice to share those criticisms. And that is us, that is the teachers on this screen. Academics and the mental health of many children, teachers, and their families and extended families have been seriously compromised. The need for stability remains relevant for us as adults. A continuously unpredictable environment is a key contributor to overwhelming anxiety and stress. And our bodies may be in a heightened awareness phase, which leads to fatigue, exhaustion, and even physical illness. Balance and stable routines are essential for structure and a sense of control. And as we move forward, moving through this pandemic, and every day we might hear about a new variant, and they might raise up the mask mandates again, and people who are very worried about people in their family and bringing home a sickness or an illness, people who are hospitalized, We need to get this stabilized. We need to be told the truth. We need to understand the feelings of others and why they're doing what they're doing. In these travels that I've been having lately, you probably know the mask mandate has been lifted from airplane travel. I so appreciate the pilot who comes on the the speaker and essentially is telling us it's optional to wear your mask, but we expect mutual respect and understanding for individuals who continue to wear those masks. And I dare say I haven't heard a word from anyone not wearing a mask or anyone wearing a mask. I see that respect, and it's almost like a visible signal to me that this person has made an active choice to continue to protect themselves and possibly a loved one. Kindness. Is compassion and tolerance demonstrated by the individuals in your workplace? Is there truly a safe environment to practice leadership skills? So for example, when I told you earlier about the teachers in my building, that I encourage them to think out of the box, to encourage them to come up with innovative ideas that possibly we could think about implementing in our school. I can assure you the one theme that kept going through was, you are not Debbie's little pet. You are not Debbie's favorite little friend because you have decided to establish an initiative that you think might be worthwhile to think about. I really wanted that whole shared leadership so everyone felt like their voice was heard, in agreement or disagreement of something that we were thinking about implementing in our school. I appreciated diversity. I appreciated different opinions, different practices, and I valued what our entire school valued. We had a mission, we had a vision, and everything we did went back to those statements. It always went back to what we believed in. And we continue to call on each other to demonstrate those behaviors of kindness, compassion, and tolerance. It's crucial in leadership because it fosters meaningful connections between people. It opens up conversations, it encourages problem solving, and it improves health and well-being. When you come to a place that you truly love and brings you joy, when you open those school doors and you're thinking, I am so glad to be here because I am valued, I am cared for, I am respected. I always felt like if I feed the teachers, they won't eat the children because they feel valued. Students would walk down the hallway. They would see teachers talking. They would see teachers sharing ideas. They would see the same from me. They would see respect for the custodial staff. They would see just all kinds of great things happening in our school. And I mean this literally. It wasn't, Mayberry RFD, but there was an absolute mutual respect. Kids see that, they start to act like that, they start to believe it, and they start to think about, how can I bring that out in my community? How can I bring that home to my family? How can I bring that to my classroom culture? Kids take ownership because they see the adults in their life demonstrating these very, very behaviors. It also helped us teach kids and teachers and families to put aside bias, and we would not turn away any challenging situation that arose. We had different leadership groups, and I mean leadership where we would get representation from families, children, teachers. People who needed to have a voice at the table were invited to the table to share their ideas, share their perspectives. And again, it was such a wonderful shared ownership of everything that we did. Initiatives came rather easily because people were on the ground level from the very, very beginning. Hope. I love this word. And when I think about hope, I thought about Albert Einstein, and when he said, we learn from yesterday and we live for today, and we hope for tomorrow. The important thing to do is never stop questioning, embrace the challenges we face, and work with others to develop viable solutions. I am all about coming on the phone with me, coming into a meeting with me, coming into my office, coming into my room, wherever. I don't have any problem With all the complaining, everything that you want to share, I'm here. I'm here to listen. Also, do you have a viable solution? Do you have ideas that you can share? These are really important to give us the hope of being able to move forward and go forward. And if anything, in the past few years, the beast in the room is BC, AC, before COVID and after COVID. Hope used to be, I hope I get this job. I hope I get approved with the bank loan. I hope my potato salad will be a hit with my family. But everything went raw when COVID hit. After that, our hope changed to, we hoped our kids could go to school. We hoped we would see our family again. We hoped we would be able to go to the grocery store and not face empty shelves. It has changed how we hope. The world around us has painted somewhat of an ugly picture. And now we hope for the children and families in Ukraine. We hope for social justice and equality in our schools and communities, and we hope for peace. What is it that you hope for? I ask you at the end of the day, be the change you want to be. A single act of kindness throws out roots in all directions, and roots spring up and make new trees, says Amelia Earhart. Self-esteem and self-confidence are foundational characteristics of strong leaders. Seasoned leaders share their toolbox of experiences. They show team members they will never be alone. They let them know that others will mentor, help, and be their cheerleader for support. I encourage you to provide opportunities for successful leadership experiences that help others acquire those leadership capabilities, become aware of their own leadership abilities, and develop self-esteem and self-confidence about their leadership skills. Give them opportunities to grow, nurture them, mentor them. A relatively easy way to do that is to recognize and appreciate those people that we work with. So let's talk about that. Recognition and appreciation, key motivators for employees. Not just a name on a plaque. It means inclusion. It means being heard. It means your values and opinions are listened to. I want to believe that if my opinion is different from your opinion, I will still be valued in that workplace. It also has a huge impact on the effectiveness at work. It's amazing to watch anyone who is recognized and appreciated, even in the smallest or the largest way. The chest pump up, the head is held a little bit higher, the back is a little bit straighter. It's greater job satisfaction because someone noticed what I was doing. And that can make a tremendous, tremendous difference. And when we said it impacts our work, many of us are willing to work much harder, much smarter when we know that our efforts will be recognized and valued. So one size fits all. I want you to take a look at this visual. All right. One person's on her, well, two people are actually on their phone, but one woman looks like she might actually be listening to some music. One woman looks like she's doing work. One person looks like they're studying something, but yet you get the message. And in the middle of that, there is a gentleman reading his newspaper. So looking at this, we have to understand individual differences affect how each person likes to receive recognition. Pay attention to how they respond to recognition. I know some people who say, please, 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 don't say anything, Debbie. Don't say anything. Don't embarrass me. Again, people are going to think that, I'm in your back pocket. I'm your pet. I'm your this. Okay, I understand that. So that recognition might be on the down low. I also know some people who love to be in the spotlight, who love to be up there at that podium, love to be at the front or at the center stage. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Select activities that are meaningful to recipients when you're giving them that recognition. Heavens knows we've all received our fair share of coffee cups, pens, etc. Sometimes something just very responsive to that individual person's needs can be very, very well thought of. And again, my gosh, he or she is paying attention to me. They know that I love to write and I keep a daily journal. They know that I love to go to Starbucks and gave me a very nice gift card. They understand the things that make me tick. They brought me a beautiful flower because they know that I'm a gardener. Do unto others as you would want them to do unto you and unto others. Be kind, be notice, see what people have in their lives that bring them joy, and be responsive to that when recognizing their accomplishments. Let's talk about auditory acts of kindness. People need to hear the recognition. Random compliments are the most enjoyable, especially if you walk by and you say to someone, hey, that was really terrific what you just shared in there, nice going. Or after someone is given a presentation, they walk back to their chair and you're like, way to go, what a great job. You know, when you give accolades to kids, I've learned long time ago to don't say, stop running, tell them what you want to see. Feet are for walking. Tell people what you want to see. I love how you use those words with that child when they were really struggling with completing that assignment. Challenge yourself to give at least 3 compliments a day. You will feel so much better. And it doesn't have to be anything about work. It can be, my goodness, I love how you've done your hair. I love how you directed the traffic in that crazy parking lot at school. I really like how you calmed down that mom who was so upset about that note that went home about her child's behavior. Listen, recognize, compliment. Did you know that 55% of our messages are actually shared non-verbally, which means the smile of an approval, the bright eyes of listening raptly to a discussion, clapping? Did you know that 38% of your message is by the way you say it, the inflection in your tone, the genuine happiness as you share it? Also think about when you're not happy and you speak sometimes through clenched teeth or your face shows that you're unhappy. It's not the words, it's sometimes how you say it. And then finally, it's actually the 7% of the words you really do use. So think about what you say and the message you want to deliver. I love this slide. I love this slide. This demonstrates someone being kind to another person. This is a visual act of kindness. If you're sitting at a red light and you're watching this happen, don't tell me for a minute that you're going to say that young man was raised by someone who taught him how to care. And that woman was to help to accomplish a goal. We have the opportunity in so many situations to observe individuals being kind to one another. Recognize that, celebrate that. You can do it by a smile, a gesture, opening the door, holding the door, offering to pick up packages, anything like that. Physical items such as certificates, letters, cards, awards, those are always celebrated as well and very nicely received. I know a lot of teachers who have said to me, I'm going to keep this little note in my desk drawer because when I'm not feeling so great about the work I'm doing today, I'm going to open up that desk and remind myself that someone thought that I was doing a good job. Letters of encouragement to families and friends. I have a story a little bit later on that I'd like to share with you about something that I've done with my teachers, but I've often written notes to families and just let them know I'm caring about you right now, or if you need anything, we're here for you as just your school family. When families go through hard times, again, letting them know. I know many of you have done drives for families who have perhaps misplaced by the COVID and losing jobs, perhaps by a fire, something awful like that. You've been very, very kind. How many of us have just sat down and written a letter to a friend? I'm thinking about you today. You bring joy to my life, and I just wanted you to know that you brought a smile to my face. Try doing something like that, and you'll be so surprised how good you feel when you put it in the mailbox. Post-it notes with kind or motivational messages. I did a lot of walkthroughs when I was a principal. You know, when you do a walkthrough, it's 2 minutes at the most. You're walking through, kind of checking the tone of the classroom, put a little sticky note in the class, in the teacher's mailbox. Great lesson I saw for 60 seconds. I saw you talking with this child, or I stopped and took a glance at your plan book. It was all together. I saw materials ready to go. I saw the standards posted on the board. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Kinesthetic acts of kindness include a pat on the back, a handshake, a hug, eye contact, engagement. I said that earlier. You have eye contact, your eyes are bright, you're listening, you're engaging, you're not sitting there thinking, what am I going to reply back? You're actually listening to what they're saying, possibly shaking your head in affirmation, or perhaps a look of, gosh, I'd like to ask you more about that in a clarifying way. Did you know that lack of touch causes us to withdraw into ourselves? And especially now in these COVID, 2 years, think of all the people who during this time were alone with no one touching them. No one. I read somewhere once that 4 hugs a day is survival, 8 hugs a day is for maintenance, and 12 hugs a day is for growth. I don't know if you've seen that commercial recently. They talk about the 2 men who live in 2 completely different countries, and they have this, lack of a better word, this thing that they can actually put on each other, and it gives them the hug from one another while they're looking at their screen. My goodness, what a profound tool for reminding us the value of touch. And I would be remiss to say, be careful so that your touch is not possibly mistaken for sexual harassment. Here's some tried, true, and proven successful things that I've done. The first day of school, before the teachers come in, that first day of Institute Day, and sometimes not always thrilled to be there, I try to leave a useful gift on their desk. For example, I put a plant on their desk that was bright and colorful that the kids could name and water and take care of. I put a picture frame for their class or a loved one. I provided sweet treats, a special bag of school supplies, knowing my teachers only received $50 for the year to buy the school supplies for their classrooms. I tried to buy them some extra special things that I knew would come in handy while teaching. I tried to help them feel special about returning to school. I always had the welcome bulletin board, I'm dating myself now, with their pictures welcoming them back, just to let them know that they were cared for, and this is the school community that is soon to envelop an entire group of children. You've heard this, and I can tell you Bev Johns, who's on this screen, is fabulous about this. You provide treats for a meeting. Candies, I used to put shoe boxes with stress balls, Post-it notes, the Tootsie Roll suckers, Sweet Tarts, Smarties, any kind of something, fidgets, while they could just kind of poke through while we're having, most often a day-long workshop. And then I would encourage them and invite them to take anything they'd like to take and take it back to their classroom, possibly share it with their kids, possibly try that with their classes, especially in some of those small groups. I told you earlier about I was mindful about interactions that I observed, and I wrote a short note thanking that person for that type of interaction, for taking the time to calm a child, wipe their tears, talk with an angry parent, get somebody on the right foot, welcome someone into our school. We had a couch right inside of our front door of our school to let parents know this was an area they could sit, talk, congregate. What was interesting about that, parents would come and drop their kids off to school, and then they'd come in the hallway and they would sit there and they would begin to see how the children walked through the hallway after our morning assembly. We were a PBIS school, so we knew that in the hallway, it's zero noise and walking feet. They would soon be complimenting kids on their wonderful behavior. The children would give them a silent nod, acknowledging them, but not ever saying anything. I would thank those teachers for reinforcing those PBIS rules and thank the parents for then recognizing the positive behavior of their students. We also had a student of the month from each classroom. And the parents were always invited to come to that special assembly. And the parents received a thank you note for their work in raising a child who was kind, who was hardworking, who was considerate of others, because you can't do that alone while you're a child. You have your family and your friends to help you grow. Provide lunch. Who doesn't like a better surprise than a food truck in the parking lot or a catered lunch? I would write notes to the families, principals, and superintendents about their teachers. As the Illinois State President, I wrote notes to the superintendents of all the working teachers in the state of Illinois. And that was a lot of letters, but it was worth it because I have 2 stories about that. And I see somebody in the chat. Paul, are you telling me I'm good on time?
We are, oh my goodness, Deb, I knew this would happen. It's 7:52 this moment.
Do I have like 3 minutes?
Oh, of course you do.
Okay.
Yes. You
Okay.
have at least 8 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for that. So what I wanted to share is, as I said to you, so I wrote the letters and I just told the superintendents, you have an unbelievable educator working in your school who belongs to Delta Kappa Gamma Illinois State Organization. You may not realize what she's done, but she is a key woman educator. So later on, much later, I learned of a woman who was making a presentation at the board meeting, not very well received by the board. She was upset about her initiative and feeling a little dejected. The next item on the agenda was the letter that I had written to the superintendent about her. And it completely turned the table. The entire board was congratulating her, recognizing her. She said, you will not believe how it just lifted me up to know perhaps my idea was not accepted by everyone on the board, but yet my stature as a key woman educator gave pause. And we asked for that. And that was a good thing. The second thing, in Teacher Appreciation Week, I looked at the personnel folders for all the teachers, and I looked at their emergency forms. And what I did was I wrote a letter either to the husband, the significant other, the partner, the parents, depending on who that individual's, contact information was. And I thanked them for giving that teacher to us, for allowing them to work hard, for allowing them essentially the permission to work at night, to come in on a Saturday, come in on a Sunday, be a part of a committee. I thank them for being that team behind that teacher to allow them to do their best work. Just some ideas that I found to be working true. Pay it forward, a favorite movie. Let's pass it on. Smile and say hello to everyone you see. Doesn't matter if they're in the hallway, doesn't matter if they're on the sidewalk, smile, and I guarantee 90% of the time you'll be smiled back. I've known teachers who said they've had principals who walk down the hallway without saying a word. Can you imagine that? I know I can't. Why don't you offer to teach a teacher's class? Why don't you do that? Give him or her a surprise plan period. Share the successes of your teachers and other members of your school community in a newsletter, an assembly, of course, social media, with having permission, of course. Everyone loves to see their name in print, as long as it's a good way. Lend a hand at a grocery store, help pack the bags, help another person outside the door. And if you're one of those people like I am, I love to pay it forward to the next person in the McDonald's line. And you wouldn't believe what I just did it the other day. And the gentleman said, oh my goodness, you're one of those people. And he said, I hear about you. I've never met one, but it gives you an immense, just a really good feeling. And it doesn't matter if it's only a cup of coffee, or it might actually be a meal for their family. The honk of the horn and the wave. And I say, just tell them to have a great day. Do not mistake kindness for weakness ever. Kindness requires courage, strength, and tenacity. It is an essential interpersonal skill. It is a sincere willingness to celebrate someone else's successes and be openly happy for others. It also allows you to provide feedback that is loving and caring and builds trust in any relationship. Finally, as you can see, there are so many ways to reach people, connect people, lift people, show your strengths in leadership by being authentic. Everything we're talking about today is interaction. True, we depend on technology for many, many things, But for all of this, everything we're talking about is human beings. Say something nice to someone, hold someone's hand. It only takes the smallest thing to get someone over that mountain. At the end of the day, it is about leadership with kindness. And every day, make it your mission. Pick one of these, do one of these, make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, bravo.
Yeah.
And there are, let's see, there were some comments in the chat. Fabulous presentation. I said I loved the couch idea as the students and the parents came in. And then someone said, love the ideas that they're on vacation and staying in a chalet, but it was tricky to get Wi-Fi, but they knew it would be well worth it. So, and Jose said, bravo, bravo.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I will go back to our gallery view here as we finish. Any comments, particularly from teachers and parents? Your comment, Debbie, about communication is extraordinary, to realize that you know, your percentages. I've always heard of the amazing power of nonverbal communication and the tone of the communication, and then that only 7% of it really it's the words that are used, you know. So communication is such an art form, isn't it?
Yes.
And Debbie, we have, you know, these are wonderful comments, and we have some people in the audience who are studying to be teachers. And what would your advice be for them in terms of the importance of being positive?
Well, these are trying times, but we can find the good things in any situation. And I sincerely believe in being positive. I really do, because I can't weigh myself down with that negativity. And I can't let, as my dad would say, you don't let anybody rent space in your head unless they're a really good tenant. Be positive. You make a difference. If you find yourself faltering, seek out a mentor. There are so many great ways you can make a difference in a classroom. One child, Bev, how many times have you said the power of one? The power of one. You can make a difference. And follow your dreams. Do what you want to do. Gosh, I mean, teaching is a passion, and I wish you luck and perseverance. You know, like I said, you guys, everything that we do, nothing comes to us easy. But if you believe it, it's passion. You never, nothing comes easy that isn't hard work. And that's what it is. And you can make a difference. And we are the ones making a difference. Every day. Kids count on us because you are the one consistent in their lives. Let your voice be heard.
And Debbie, thank you. You do indeed practice what you talk about. And you know, we had a wonderful biennium with Debbie as our state president and as the Northeast Regional Director. And now we look forward to even more positivity. So we appreciate you greatly.
Thank you. Thank you. It was my pleasure and my honor to speak with you tonight. Truly.
Thank you very, very, very much, Debbie. Any other pressing comments before we depart here? Would you like, if we need to, anybody who wants to reach Debbie, I will be able to connect with you via email or any other way, you know?
Oh, feel free. Absolutely. Feel free.
Thank you.
That's something else I enjoy is just mentoring and helping out. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. Our profession is going to live on forever, and we need to make sure we have good people in the classroom.
Thank you so very much. Thank you for being part of the 100th anniversary series, Debbie. It's a real honor and a privilege to meet you here on Zoom. And we look forward to a day when we'll meet you in person, and hopefully that'll be very soon.
Me too. Thank you, everybody. Have a great, fabulous night and a wonderful week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good
Bye.
night. Good night. Good night. Good
Good
night.
night.
Everyone. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for-
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. See
Thank
soon.
you.
Cody.
Daphne and Connie. Hi, Martha.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Cody.
Yes, Dr. Crowley and Bev too, I have a question for you, if you don't mind, once you stop recording.
Oh, thank you for reminding me, Cody. Let's see, I'll stop. Okay. Stop recording. Thank you, Cody. I completely forgot about this stop recording part. Hold on. Pause.